For centuries, the Xinthians had watched Earth from the shadows. Their sleek obsidian probes drifted invisibly through the solar system, cataloging humanity's wars, climate disasters, and self-destruction. Primitive, the Xinthian High Command sneered. They'll annihilate themselves soon. But then, something changed. In 2097, a rogue human mission reached Proxima Centauri b. The ship, Endurance, was cobbled from scrap metal and powered by a reactor designed in a basement lab. Survivors? Impossible. The Xinthians had seen planets with harsher climates, volcanic hells, radiation storms, but humans thrived in their own chaos. A Xinthian analyst noted grimly, they adapt to anything, even their own stupidity. When Earth's surface temperatures spiked due to rogue geoengineering, humans didn't die. They built floating cities. When a pandemic wiped out 40% of the population, survivors engineered cures in weeks. The Xinthians began to worry. What if this species turned their chaotic resilience outward? What if they looked up? The Xinthians were not new to war. Their empire spanned 12 star systems, built on precision and control. They believed in order. Every Xinthian child learned, strength is efficiency, survival is strategy. But Earth defied logic. Its inhabitants lived in deserts where water cost more than gold, yet they thrived. They dug tunnels into volcanoes to grow food. They fought wars with weapons made of wood and stone, then rebuilt their cities with hands blistered from labor. One Xinthian scout, Vrel, grew obsessed. He spent cycles studying Earth's history. He watched footage of a human soldier, dragging his broken body across a battlefield to detonate a bomb. He read diaries of explorers who ate their boots to survive famine. They don't fear limits, Vrel whispered to his commander. They don't even see them, the commander scoffed. They're animals, brutish and short-lived. Vrel hesitated, then shared a file, a recording of a human child no older than 6, leading a group of orphans through a radioactive storm. The child sang a song to keep them calm. The commander watched, silent. Then he erased the file. Enough. We focus on their weaknesses. But Vrel kept watching. Earth's climate worsened. Governments collapsed. Cities drowned under rising seas. The Xinthians expected extinction. Instead, humans adapted. In Bangladesh, engineers built floating farms that harvested rainwater and grew rice in saltwater tanks. In Antarctica, survivors lived in geothermal caves, using volcanic heat to power makeshift cities. A group of teenagers in California repurposed old subway tunnels into a self-sustaining colony, growing mushrooms under LED lights. Vrel compiled reports. They turn ruin into home, he wrote. They rebuild faster than they destroy. The high command dismissed him. They're scattered, no unified leadership, no threat. But then came the Endurance. The ship was a joke by Xinthian standards. A patchwork of stolen tech and jury-rigged engines. Yet it reached Proxima Centauri b, a planet where acid rains fell and the air could not be breathed. The crew? 20 humans, half-starved, most suffering radiation sickness. They survived by sealing themselves in a dome made of recycled plastic and aluminum foil. Vrel watched their first transmission. A woman, her skin peeling from radiation, burns, smiling as she planted a tomato seedling in alien soil. We're here, she said. We're staying. The Xinthians panicked. On Earth, humanity's struggles continued. In 2110, a solar flare fried the power grid. Billions were plunged into darkness. The Xinthians expected riots. Instead, neighborhoods formed energy collectives, using bicycle-powered generators and old car batteries to keep hospitals running. A teenager in Nairobi invented a solar charger from a pizza oven and a broken smartphone. In Alaska, a village survived 6 months of polar night by hunting with bows and arrows, sharing food from a single communal fire. Vrel sent another report. Their weakness is their strength. They endure because they have to. They improvise because they can't afford failure. This time, the High Command listened. A war council was called. The humans are a disease, argued General Kazarn. They spread, they mutate, they survive treatment. We must sterilize their planet before they spread further. But Vrel objected. They're not a disease. They're a force. You cannot stop a hurricane by building taller walls. The debate raged. Meanwhile, Earth's skies darkened with storms. Humans built wind turbines from scrap. They turned deserts into forests by burying water pipes underground. A blind engineer in Brazil designed a drone that planted trees 10 times faster than a human. Vrel watched it all. He saw patterns. Humanity's history was a chain of impossible comebacks. They lost legs in explosions and ran marathons. They lost eyesight and mapped the stars. They fought plagues with nothing but soap and masks. They're not just resilient, Vrel realized. They enjoy the fight. Then came the message. It wasn't from a government or a general. It was from a child in a floating city off Greenland's coast. The message was carved into a piece of ice. We're still here. You can't kill us. Vrel froze the frame. They know we're watching, he whispered. The high command laughed. A child's scribble, please. But Vrel knew better. Humans didn't just survive. They defied. And now they dared to stare into the void and smirk. For the first time in Xinthian history, a scout initiated a forbidden protocol. Warning, do not underestimate the humans. Back on Earth, the child who wrote the message shivered in the cold. Her name was Lila. She had no idea her words had reached the stars. She only knew one thing. Her family had survived the floods, the hunger, the cold, and they'd keep surviving, no matter what. The Mars colony uprising began with a whisper. A rebel signal, weak and desperate, crackled through the void. We're out of food, out of oxygen. They're coming to kill us all. Please, help. The Xinthians intercepted it instantly. General Kazarn's tentacles twitched with amusement. Mars? He scoffed. A dust ball with a few ragged tents, crush them. But the humans had something the Xinthians didn't expect. Time. Years earlier, Earth's governments had collapsed. In the chaos, a rogue engineer named Elena Voss gathered a crew of scavengers, hackers, and ex-soldiers. They vanished into the asteroid belt, building something monstrous in secret. The Xinthians called them Star Destroyers. Elena called them Hope. The destroyers were not elegant. Their hulls were patched with scrap steel from dead satellites. Their engines roared like dying beasts, and their weapon systems were jury-rigged from old mining lasers. But they flew. And when the Mars rebels' signal reached them, the destroyers turned toward home. Commander Ralks of the Xinthian fleet watched their approach with disdain. His warship, the Dominion, was a masterpiece of crystal armor and plasma cannons. It had vaporized entire fleets in seconds. He ordered his crew to target the lead destroyer, the Unbroken. Eliminate the leader, he hissed. The blast missed, not because it was fast, because the Unbroken rolled sideways, then veered straight into the blast zone, using the shockwave to slingshot forward. Xinthian sensors screamed, "Impossible trajectory!" Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her boots bolted to the floor. Her hair, singed from a reactor leak hours earlier, hung in greasy strands. She grinned. "Tell the crew, hold nothing back. We're not just saving Mars today. We're introducing Earth to the neighborhood." The battle was a storm of light and noise. Xinthian ships moved in perfect formation, firing beams that melted asteroids. The destroyers zigzagged like drunkards, engines smoking, hulls cracking. But they kept coming. A young pilot, Jin Park, flew. The Vengeance straight at a Xinthian dreadnought, engines flaming. At the last second, he cut power, letting the dreadnought overshoot. Then he fired his thrusters, ramming the alien ship's underbelly. Both ships exploded. Jin's last transmission? A laugh. In engineering, a team patched a reactor leak by stuffing a mattress into the breach. When the mattress caught fire, an engineer named Lila, the same child from Greenland's floating city, poured her coffee on it. "Waste not," she muttered, her hands blistered but steady. On. The Dominion, Commander Ralk snarled. They're animals. Aim for their engines. A Xinthian officer hesitated. Sir, their engines are already dead. They're flying on. Backup thrusters. Ralk's froze. Then why are they still moving? The turning point came when Elena ordered the unthinkable, a kamikaze run on the Dominion. The Xinthians laughed, until they realized the destroyers weren't just crashing. They were aiming. The Unbroken slammed into the Dominion's shield generator, its hull peeling like paper. Inside, the crew fought through fires and broken bones. Lila rerouted power from the cafeteria's microwave array. Microwaves? Elena barked. Better than nothing. Lila shot back. The final shot came from the Vengeance 2, piloted by Jin's sister May. Her brother dead, her left arm shattered, she flew blind through debris, locking onto Ralk's command deck. The blast tore through the Xinthian flagship, severing its core. Ralk stared at the fireball where his ship's heart used to be. This cannot be real. The Xinthians fled. Back on Mars, the rebels cheered as destroyers limped into orbit, their hulls scarred and smoking. Elena Voss stepped onto Martian soil, her legs shaking. A child handed her a flower grown in a hydroponic crate. You came, the kid said. We always do, Elena replied, but the victory came at a cost. Half the destroyers were gone. Jin was dead. Lila's hands would never heal right. The Xinthians, though, were shaken. Their analysts dissected the battle footage frame by frame. Vrel, the obsessed scout, watched a clip of Elena welding a reactor pipe with her hair on fire. He paused it. Her face was calm, almost happy. Why? He whispered. Why keep fighting when the odds are zero? A fellow scout shrugged. Maybe they don't know the odds. No, Vrel said. They ignore them. Back on Earth, the destroyers became legends. Kids wore patches stitched from old uniforms. Graffiti bloomed, on ruins and unbroken. But Elena knew this was only the beginning. She gathered her crew in a bunker beneath the Himalayas. Maps of the galaxy glowed on the walls. The Xinthians will regroup, she said. They'll bring bigger ships, better weapons. May raised her shattered arm. Then we build better ships, better weapons. Lila, now 14, tapped a screen, pulling up designs for a new engine. Or we outlast them, she said. They're good at war. We're good at surviving. Let's see which wins. Outside, the wind howled over the mountains. Somewhere in the stars, the Xinthians plotted revenge. But on Earth, humans smiled. Because they knew the truth. You can't kill a species that turns dying into a game. The Xinthians dissected every human sample they'd stolen. Blood, bones, skin. Nothing was left unexamined. They found proteins that resisted radiation, genes that repaired themselves, and bones denser than titanium. But worse, psychology. Files. Captured soldiers when tortured didn't break. They sang nursery rhymes. A Marine, half frozen in a vacuum chamber, scrawled, "Not today," on the wall in his own blood. Vrel, the obsessed scout, pored over the data. He watched a video of a human sprinter running a marathon with a broken leg. Why? He muttered. Why not stop? His assistant shrugged. They're stupid. No, Vrel whispered. They're unreasonable. The Xinthians had studied thousands of species. They knew fear. They'd seen civilizations beg for mercy, surrender, or flee. But humans? They laughed. During the Mars battle, a pilot named Jin Park had died mid-laugh. A rebel on Europa, bleeding out after an ambush, whispered, "Worth it," before going silent. Vrel dug deeper. Ancient Earth texts revealed famines where humans ate dirt to survive, plagues where doctors worked until they dropped, and wars where children wielded guns at 6. He read a story about a man who walked 200 miles across a desert with no water. The man survived by drinking his own urine. Vrel gagged. This is madness, his assistant nodded. Madness that works. The Xinthians turned to genetics. They compared human DNA to other species. Humans weren't the strongest. They weren't the fastest. But their genes were flexible. When exposed to radiation, their cells repaired themselves faster than any known life form. When starved, their bodies shut down non-essential functions, letting them live off air and hope for weeks. A Xinthian scientist, Dr. Zell, presented findings to the High Command. Their biology adapts mid-crisis, she explained. A human stranded on a frozen moon will grow thicker skin in days. One exposed to poison develops liver enzymes to neutralize it, General Zarn snarled. So they're resilient. We've fought tougher species. Zell hesitated. It's not just biology. Their minds, they enjoy suffering. The Xinthians analyzed human stories. Ancient myths glorified heroes who faced impossible odds. A man wrestling gods, a woman surviving a flood, a boy slaying monsters. Modern tales were worse. Films showed humans escaping aliens, volcanoes, even dinosaurs. One AI translation bot, fed 1,000 novels, concluded, humanity's greatest weapon is its refusal to accept game over. Vrel watched a clip of a human explorer trapped in a cave-in. For 72 hours, the man clawed at rocks with his bare hands, eating bugs to stay alive. When rescued, he grinned. Never doubted I'd make it, he said. A Xinthian officer shuddered. They're insane. No, Vrel said. They're certain. They believe survival isn't luck, it's a choice. The Xinthians tested this theory. They created simulations, humans trapped in deserts, oceans, vacuum chambers. In every scenario, the humans improvised. One built a shelter from his dead partner's body. Another drank seawater, then purged the salt by eating clay. A child survived a nuclear blast by hiding in a refrigerator. Ixel reported, they don't just adapt, they improve. Stress makes them stronger, Xarn roared. Then we sterilize their planet, burn it to ash, Vrel objected. We tried. Remember Earth's climate disasters, pandemics? They grew from those fires. A younger scout added, they even weaponize grief. After losing comrades, they fight harder. Silence fell. Back on Earth, humanity thrived in chaos. In 2120, a solar flare fried the power grid. Billions were plunged into darkness. The Xinthians expected riots. Instead, neighborhoods formed energy collectives, using bicycle-powered generators and old car batteries to keep hospitals running. A teenager in Nairobi invented a solar charger from a pizza oven and a broken smartphone. In Alaska, a village survived 6 months of polar night by hunting with bows and arrows, sharing food from a single communal fire. Vrel watched it all. He saw patterns. Humanity's history was a chain of impossible comebacks. They lost legs in explosions and ran marathons. They lost eyesight and mapped the stars. They fought plagues with nothing but soap and masks. They're not just resilient, Vrel realized. They enjoy the fight. The Xinthians turned to war archives. They studied Earth's history. Genghis Khan's armies rode for decades without rest. Napoleon's soldiers crossed frozen rivers with bare feet. World War II pilots flew missions until their hands froze to the controls. One Xinthian analyst muttered, they don't fear death, they use it. Vrel shared a final clip. A human engineer on Mars, her arm torn off by shrapnel, rerouting power cables with her teeth. Her last words, tell my mom, I'm sorry. The High Command watched in silence. Then Kazarn slammed his fist. Enough. We nuke their cities, turn their world to glass. But Zell interrupted. Their cities don't matter. Their spirit does. Kill 1, 10 rise. Kill 10, 100. Vrel added. They don't need leaders. They don't need plans. They just keep going. On Earth, a meme spread. A cartoon human shrugging while the planet explodes behind him. Caption, y'all good? In a Himalayan bunker, Elena Voss trained new recruits. Lila, now 16, taught engineering. May rebuilt her brother's ship, naming it the Vengeance 3. Elena addressed her crew. The Xinthians think we're animals. They'll never understand us. May asked, what are we? A force of nature, Elena said. Like fire, like time. You can't negotiate with us. You can't stop us. You can only hope we burn out. Lila smiled. We won't. The Xinthians made one last gamble. They sent a stealth probe to Earth disguised as a meteor. It landed in Greenland's ice, releasing a virus designed to target human DNA. The virus would rewrite their cells, making them fragile, weak. Vrel watched the data stream. This will work. They can't adapt if their code is broken. But the virus failed. Human immune systems attacked it instantly. Doctors reverse-engineered the strain in days. A teenager in Brazil posted a TikTok tutorial, how to beat alien bioweapons. Spoiler, we're immune. Vrel stared at the screen. The virus hadn't weakened humans. It had vaccinated them. He whispered, they turned our weapon into a shield. The High Command convened. Kazarn demanded immediate invasion. Zell argued for retreat. Vrel silenced them. He played a final video. A human child, no older than 6, leading a group of orphans through a radioactive storm. The child sang a song to keep them calm. When the clip ended, Vrel said, they're not just survivors, they're teachers. Every hardship makes them better, stronger, smarter. Kazarn roared, then how do we kill them? Vrel paused. We don't. We run. Back on Earth, Lila stood on a floating city's edge, watching the stars. She whispered to herself, you're scared of us, aren't you? Somewhere in the void, Vrel deleted his warning protocol. He knew the truth. The humans weren't just surviving, they were coming. The Xinthians chose Europa for their test. It was a frozen moon buried under ice with oceans hidden below. Their spies reported a secret human base there, a fragile nest of tunnels and labs. General Kazarn smirked. We'll melt the ice, drown them like insects. But humans were already waiting. The attack began with fire. Xinthian warships rained plasma beams onto Europa's surface, turning ice into steam. The base's outer tunnels collapsed, trapping hundreds inside. Alarms screamed. A young engineer, May, shouted into her radio. They're here! Everyone, seal your sectors! Her hands trembled as she barricaded the main reactor room. Outside, explosions shook the walls. Her brother's face flashed in her mind, Jin dead during the Mars battle. She tightened her grip on a wrench. Not again. The Xinthians expected panic. Instead, the humans moved. Divers in homemade exosuits swarmed the alien ships. Their suits were patched from old mining gear, their weapons cobbled from scrap metal. They clung to hulls like barnacles, planting bombs on engines. One diver, a teenager named Li Chen, hacked a Xinthian probe. She rerouted its controls, then rammed it into a flagship's engine. The explosion lit up Europa's sky. Li's last transmission. A scream. This is for my brother. Inside the base, survivors fought to stay alive. Water flooded the lower levels. May led a team to patch leaks with frozen sewage pipes. It's all we've got, she growled, hammering metal into place. A child no older than 10 handed her a welding torch. I can help, he said. May nodded. Then help. Above them, the Xinthians regrouped. Commander Ralks, furious, ordered a second wave. Burn the ocean, he hissed. Boil them alive. But the humans had a plan. The base's leader, a scarred ex-marine named Elena Voss, activated the geothermal drills. Europa's oceans were warmed by volcanic vents below. Elena rerouted the heat into the ice, creating steam explosions that shattered Xinthian ships. One destroyer split in half, its crew sucked into space. Ralks stared at the chaos. They're using the planet itself, his officer gulped. They're not even trying to win, just to hurt us. The battle turned brutal. Humans rigged oxygen, tanks to blow, turning their own life support into bombs. A medic, bleeding from a chest wound, dragged herself across the floor to detonate a charge. Her final words, "Tell my kids, I'm sorry." In the control room, May watched Li Chen's probe explode. Tears froze on her cheeks. She grabbed a microphone. "This is for Jin, for my mom, for everyone you've taken." She slammed a button, flooding the base with reactor coolant. The Xinthians outside froze mid-advance. When the dust settled, 80% of Europa's humans were dead. The survivors huddled in the ruins, shivering and silent. May counted faces. Half her team gone. She slumped against a wall, her breath ragged. Then Elena stood up. "We're rebuilding." The others stared. "The Xinthians will come back," someone muttered. "Let them," Elena said. "We'll be ready." They worked for days. Using alien wreckage as scrap, they expanded the base, larger, deeper, stronger. May welded a new reactor core, her hands blistered. The child who'd handed her the torch helped carry bricks. "You said I could help," he reminded her. She smiled. "Yeah, you did." Back on Xinthian command, the High Council reviewed footage. Vrel, the scout, paused a clip. May dragging a corpse to shore up a wall. Her face was numb with cold, but her eyes burned. "They don't mourn," Vrel whispered. "They build." General Kazarn snarled. "They're animals. Kill more of them." A younger officer hesitated. "Sir, their losses don't weaken them. They get hungrier." Zell, the scientist, added, "Their grief fuels them. Stress makes them smarter. We're not fighting a species. We're fighting a storm." On Earth, news of Europa spread. Kids painted murals of Li Chen, her face glowing on subway walls. A meme showed a cartoon human shrugging while the planet exploded behind him. Caption: "Y'all good?" In a Himalayan bunker, Ilana trained new recruits. Lila, now 16, taught engineering. May rebuilt her brother's ship, naming it the Vengeance III. Elena addressed her crew. "The Xinthians think we're animals." "They'll never understand us," May asked. "What are we?" "A force of nature," Elena said. "Like fire, like time. You can't negotiate with us. You can't stop us. You can only hope we burn out." Lila smiled. "We won't." The Xinthians made one last gamble. They sent a stealth probe to Earth disguised as a meteor. It landed in Greenland's ice, releasing a virus designed to target human DNA. The virus would rewrite their cells, making them fragile, weak. Vrel watched the data stream. "This will work. They can't adapt if their code is broken." But the virus failed. Human immune systems attacked it instantly. Doctors reverse-engineered the strain in days. A teenager in Brazil posted a TikTok tutorial, "How to beat alien bioweapons. Spoiler, we're immune." Vrel stared at the screen. The virus hadn't weakened humans. It had vaccinated them. He whispered, "They turned our weapon into a shield." The High Command convened. Kazarn demanded immediate invasion. Zell argued for retreat. Vrel silenced them. He played a final video. A human child, no older than 6, leading a group of orphans through a radioactive storm. The child sang a song to keep them calm. When the clip ended, Vrel said, "They're not just survivors, they're teachers. Every hardship makes them better, stronger, smarter." Xarn roared, "Then how do we kill them?" Vrel paused. "We don't. We run." Back on Earth, Lila stood on a floating city's edge, watching the stars. She whispered to herself, "You're scared of us, aren't you?" Somewhere in the void, Vrel deleted his warning protocol. He knew the truth. The humans weren't just surviving. They were coming. The Xinthians stopped sending scouts to Earth. Instead, they broadcast a message across the galaxy. "Avoid this species. They cannot be conquered. They cannot be reasoned with. They do not die." But not everyone listened. The Kavorth Empire, a warlike species known for enslaving entire star systems, laughed at the warning. "Humans?" their leader growled. "Flesh bags with no discipline? We'll crush them by Tuesday." So they sent a fleet to Earth. They never came back. The battle lasted 6 hours. The Kavorth ships were monstrous. Jagged hulls, energy whips, and gravity cannons that crushed planets into black holes. Their flagship, the Devourer, loomed over Earth like a storm cloud. Surrender, it demanded, or be erased. Humanity's response, a single radio transmission. It began with static, then a calm, cold voice. You're in our sky. That was your last smart move. The screen cut to black, then a war cry echoed. USA, USA, followed by the sound of a reactor melting down. The Kvorth commander blinked. What is that? A star destroyer, the Unbroken II, emerged from the clouds. Its hull was patched with alien metal, its engines roared like a wounded beast, and its crew. A ragtag mix of ex-soldiers, hackers, and a 12-year-old girl who'd built her own laser pistol in a treehouse. The Kvorth attacked. The humans smiled. The battle was chaos. Kvorth ships fired gravity beams, but the destroyers dodged by flying straight into the blasts, using the pull to slingshot around and fire point blank. A pilot named May Park, Jin's sister, rammed her ship into a Kvorth dreadnought, triggering a chain reaction that took out 3 enemy vessels. Her final words? Tell my brother I'm not scared anymore. On the ground, civilians joined. The fight. A group of teenagers in Nairobi hacked Kvorth drones, turning them against their masters. A grandmother in Alaska built a flamethrower from a barbecue grill and set 2 Kvorth soldiers on fire. Don't mess with Grandma, she told reporters later. When the Kvorth flagship tried to retreat, Elena Voss herself led a boarding party. With a plasma sword in one hand and a wrench in the other, she tore through the command deck. The Kvorth leader begged for mercy. Elena handed him a parachute. Jump, she said. He did, and the humans cheered. The Xinthians watched it all from hiding. Vrel, the scout who'd studied humanity for decades, sat in his ship's dark command room. He played footage of the battle on loop. The grandma's grill flamethrower, May's kamikaze run, Elena's grin as she kicked a Kvorth soldier into space. His assistant shuddered. They're everywhere now. Vrel nodded. Star destroyers patrolled the solar system. Human colonies sprouted on Mars, Europa, and even Venus's upper atmosphere. A child on Pluto had just invented a new type of solar battery using gum wrappers. They don't just survive, Vrel whispered. They multiply. Back on Earth, the victory party lasted days. Kids wore helmets made from Kvorth armor. Street artists painted murals of Elena Voss with slogans like, "She's busy," and "Not today, Satan." A meme went viral, a cartoon human shrugging while the planet exploded behind him. Caption, "Y'all good?" But the humans knew the war wasn't over. In a Himalayan bunker, Elena trained new recruits. Lila, now 18, taught engineering. May rebuilt her brother's ship, naming it the Vengeance 4. Elena addressed her crew. The Xinthians and Kvorth think we're animals. They'll never understand us. A recruit asked, "What are we?" "A force of nature," Elena said. "Like fire, like time. You can't negotiate with us. You can't stop us. You can only hope we burn out." Lila smiled. "We won't." The Xinthians made one last gamble. They sent a stealth probe to Earth, disguised as a meteor. It landed in Greenland's ice, releasing a virus designed to target human DNA. The virus would rewrite their cells, making them fragile, weak. Vrel watched the data stream. This will work. They can't adapt if their code is broken. But the virus failed. Human immune systems attacked it instantly. Doctors reverse-engineered the strain in days. A teenager in Brazil posted a TikTok tutorial. How to beat alien. Bioweapons. Spoiler, we're immune. Vrel stared at the screen. The virus hadn't weakened humans. It had vaccinated them. He whispered, "They turned our weapon into a shield." Back on Xinthian command, the High Council reviewed footage. Vrel paused a clip. May dragging a corpse to shore up a wall. Her face was numb with cold, but her eyes burned. "They don't mourn," Vrel whispered. "They build." "General." Kazarn snarled. "They're animals. Kill more of them." A younger officer hesitated. "Sir, their losses don't weaken them. They get hungrier." Zell, the scientist, added, "Their grief fuels them. Stress makes them smarter. We're not fighting a species, we're fighting a storm. On Earth, a new generation grew up knowing only war and winning. A child on Mars drew pictures of star destroyers in the dirt. A school in Antarctica held alien invasion drills where students practiced building bombs from Legos. A group of teens in Tokyo launched a satellite to monitor Xinthian movements, funded by selling NFTs of their cat. The Xinthians, once rulers of 12 star systems, now hid in the shadows. Their empire shrank. Allies abandoned them. If you can't beat humans, a Kavorth trader muttered, you join them. The final warning came from Vrel himself. He hijacked a galactic news channel and broadcast a single message. Listen to me. These humans, they're not just survivors. They're teachers. Every hardship makes them better, stronger, smarter. You cannot reason with them. You cannot scare them. You cannot kill them. You can only run. And even then, they'll find you. The screen cut to black. Back on Earth, Lila stood on a floating city's edge watching the stars. She whispered to herself, "You're scared of us, aren't you?" Somewhere in the void, Vrel deleted his warning protocol. He knew the truth. The humans weren't just surviving. They were coming.